sold my soul to the bottle. Still none of my friends have left me yet. I'm the same man I was since the age of 13, and I've lived my life with no regrets. If you're looking for some freedom, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum. If you're looking for rhyme or reason, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum.
Oh man, it is not the last party of the weekend. It is just the beginning of the weekend. My name is Chris, and I host this show, 10 Drink Minimum. And this show's sponsored by the Topo Chico Seltzer. Yum, yum, yum. No Smiley today because it's a Friday show. This was a very special show. This out of the ordinary because we have a big show tomorrow night. Duke City Championship Wrestling at the Rio Rancho Event Center. It's locked in. So in town, and to lead into the show tomorrow, I have with me the infamous Tyler Copeland.
Thanks, Chris. And like you said, it's the start of a very big, very eventful weekend. I'm fired up for Locked In. This is the first place that I had to stop when getting into New Mexico.
Fucking it. This first place you came is here?
Second place.
Oh,
but,
okay.
It was pretty quick.
First place was the Frontier. I'm just kidding. Where do you eat when you come into town? Is there any specific, you're like, I got to go there?
Well, I'll tell you what, Fred usually has some good recommendations of places for me. I think I've tried 3 or 4 different brunch spots here with Fred while in town. But, he spent some time in Santa Fe one of the last few times that we were here. And, it's got some really good food out there.
Yeah. You're one of those people, huh? Santa Fe.
Yeah.
I like to fly into Santa Fe. I like to buy my art.
I was a tourist.
Yeah.
That's probably the tourist thing to do, right?
It is very tourist.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it used to be really a cool, how do you say this, cultural spot. And there was a lot of Native American stuff to it. And then Oprah moved there and Shirley MacLaine and and then it became this shell of itself. I don't know. It's weird, but it's fine. It still has some of it. If you ever get a chance, go up to Taos. Taos is still a little bit that like Santa Fe used to be, but it's also getting richified. I don't know how to say it. Rich people are coming in and ruining it all.
Oh, I believe it. Everyone buying their vacation homes there, things like that.
Right.
Speaking of food, though, what I experienced for the first time today, and I'm shocked that today was the first time I experienced this because I've always heard about it, and I've been to Colorado many times.
Okay.
But our connecting flight was in Denver.
Oh, okay.
And I ordered some barbacoa tacos. Right.
Oh,
it came with salsa.
Yeah.
And I experienced the green chili for the first time.
From Colorado. You are saying very mean things right now.
No, I didn't say it was great experience. You know what I mean? It was average. So I'm going to try some salt. I'm going to try some chili and some salsa here this weekend, and then I'll make my final decision.
That's a thing here. We are that's our thing, green chili. So Colorado is trying to kind of co-opt it, and so there's all these memes, and it'll be El Guapo from Three Amigos.
Yeah.
And it'll be New Mexico green chili. And then it'll show the Three Amigos and it'll be all Colorado green chili, And there's literal memes making fun of their green chili. And you'll have people from Colorado. They're I get the stuff from down here. Because we have a place called Hatch. And Hatch is where you buy your green chili from. There's Hatch and Limitar. And it's hot. Mm-hmm. And it's so big that in D.C., I guess they have Hatch days. Now.
Oh, really?
And Hatch is a town that's a couple hundred people. It's so weird. It's super famous now because of this of the green chili. So you have to try it.
What you're saying is if I came out tomorrow night and just put over Colorado's green chili as the best green chili, then I might be the most hated person.
So speaking of that, were you on the first? You weren't on the first episode of you weren't on the first show.
I wasn't on the first show. I started coming on the third one.
That's how. Have you ever noticed how much everyone hates Charlie 50?
Yeah.
That's what he did on the first show that we had. So they had me and him do a back and forth in the ring, And we get together like before the show, and he's like, I'm going to talk shit about how the parking here is awful. And I'm like, no one cares. Like, we don't care about that. It wouldn't upset anyone. And he's like, oh. I was like, here's two things. Make fun of lowriders and make fun of our green chili. And he was like, really? I'm like, yeah. If you say that Colorado has better green chili than ours, you might, it'd be bad. And he goes, how bad would it be? I was like, well, you might get shot. I don't know. and he comes out and he goes, hey, Duke City Warrior, how are you? He comes out and he's like, I just want to say, man, everybody here drives so damn slow. And he's like, I realize why, because he's like, why your cars are so slow and low, because all your women are fat. And people like got pretty incensed with that, right? So then he goes, another thing, he's like, I prefer the green chili in Trinidad over the green chili. And he doesn't even get it all out, and a piece of pizza hit him in the face. And somebody screamed out, if you're here at the end of the show, I'm killing you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that's connecting a lot of dots from me, because the first time that I came to Albuquerque for DCCW, I saw Charlie 50 walking from the parking lot into the building, and people are just cussing him out as he's coming in. I'm like, why do they hate this guy? But that makes sense. Yeah.
Duke City Warrior says, I'm very well, made time to be here. How are you? I'm doing well. Tyler, I think, is doing well. He's probably got a little bit of travel lag, probably.
A little bit, connecting flights. No direct flights from St. Louis, the beautiful city of St. Louis, Missouri. Can you believe it?
Where did you fly? Where was the connecting flight?
In Denver.
Colorado. Oh, Denver, yeah.
Where they're amazing green chili.
Last time, oh, God damn it, you're gonna get me killed. Now you see Boys in the Hood. Now I'm gonna get shot. They're gonna be like, you're the guys at the show talking about the. And I'll be like, no, I wasn't. No. The last time I flew through Denver, I was going to Chicago, and I'm in the airport, and we go to the steakhouse, and I was like, oh, let's get some food. I guess you did a show of Downtime in the Ring podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, and I don't think it's been released yet, but
tomorrow.
Tomorrow it's going to be released. Okay, that was a fun one.
This one will also be tomorrow, so we're going to compete here.
All right.
Good to see Tyler on the show, Duke City Warrior. So last time I flew through there, and I'm at a steakhouse, and I felt like such a dumbass because I asked the lady, I said, "What are some of your local beers?" And she goes, "Coors," and I went, "You got me. Fair enough. I feel like a dumb shit now." One thing I want to talk about, like, you are one of the the bigger heels in Duke City Championship Wrestling, because we've got the show tomorrow. We're not going to only talk about wrestling, unfortunately. We're going to talk about other things, which is fine. But I want to talk about, like, how you're one of the big heels, one of the villains. Who do you think are some of the biggest, and people in the audience can definitely chime in, who do you think are some of the biggest heels of all time?
Of all time?
Of all time.
Look, you got, if we're going way back, to, talking about the 80s, even as far back as 80s, 70s, Roddy Piper.
Yep.
Absolutely. Roddy Piper, Nature Boy Ric Flair, of course.
Yeah.
Shoot, a major heel, from that time period.
You know who I loved as a kid? Ravishing Rick Rude.
Oh, yeah.
He would come out in, like, the best entrance ever, and he would go, I'm going to need for all of you fat, out of shape, Albuquerque green chili eating sweat hogs to shut your mouths while I take my robe off for the ladies. And people would just fucking go nuts, right? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And then after he'd win, he would, like, point at some woman in the crowd, and then he would, like, make out with them. And as a kid, you just hated him so much,
So, yeah, it's kind of an exciting time for me, because I'm going back and seeing a lot of that now. Because when I was a kid, and what I was growing up with was, like, the mid-'90s, late 90s, so the WWF versus WCW. So a lot of, like, the world-class championship wrestling in Texas, we're going way farther back with that.
Like Skandar Akbar.
Yeah. But even the late 80s, early 90s wrestling, I wasn't growing up during that time period, so I'm kind of going back and watching a lot of that more in-depth now. So.
Oh, Gabe Gambino, Ted DiBiase, that's a great one.
Absolutely.
The Ted DiBiase segments and it's funny because one of them was Rob Van Dam as a little kid, but like where he was going to pay the kid like $100 to dribble the basketball like 10 times, and then on the 10th one, like Virgil kicked it, And then what was the other one? There was a couple of them that they did some stuff like that, and they never paid the people, and it just pissed people. Like, those were the good days where you're just like, I want these people to die. Earthquake. I remember when Earthquake attacked Hulk Hogan from behind and then crushed him.
Oh yeah.
And they did the lead up to their match, and I'll never forget this because they did such a good job. They showed Hulk Hogan talking, and it's like, I am a real, and it's all dun dun dun. It's like earthquake crushing him, and he's like getting crushed, and then it shows him again like in the ring, and then it's like da da da, and then they pan over to like a smash cut where it's like a locker room, and they're closing in on a locker, and his Hulk Hogan's cross necklace is hanging in the locker, and it's all, I am a real man, and then it slams shut.
That's classic.
And then you see like the kids crying because Hogan got crushed by it, and like you wanted to see Earthquake die.
Oh yeah, at that point, Hogan was like everyone's hero.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, Mr. Perfect's originally Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, some of his original like heel promos. The
greatest intro promos to a wrestler coming into a federation of all time. Where he shoots all the, like he never misses a basketball shot.
Oh yeah, where he throws the football down and runs and catches it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And
they're so corny.
And he's like perfect,
Yeah.
And like every time he would come to the ring, he would do the gum spit and hit it into the crowd, never miss. And then there's one where he climbs in the ring and he had like Mr. Hughes as his like bodyguard or whatever, and he does a behind the back throw of the towel, and it lands right on Mr. Hughes's like shoulder. And you're just like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah.
He was so good. Yeah.
He was amazing. I remember seeing him and this is very near the very end of his career in the 2000, I think it was either 2001 or 2003 Royal Rumble. He came in as a surprise entrant.
Like either
the last entrant or one of the last few entrants, and he ended up being one of the last three in the match.
Right.
Was rooting for him. He was always an awesome heel, man.
Well, and you've got to say one person too that like wasn't a wrestler, but like couldn't have been a bigger heel was Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh yeah.
Bobby the Brain Heenan was like one of those people where you hated him so much, like whenever they would like chant Weasel, you were like, yeah. And then him and the Ultimate Warrior had all those matches where he would get put to sleep and get stuck in the Weasel outfit, And of course, Bobby Heenan played into it and would spin around trying to get the thing off, And the crowd just went crazy for it. Like,
oh yeah.
That if you're doing your job right, if the crowd wants to see you get beaten to a pulp, right? I mean, that's the goal, right?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, Duke City Championship Wrestling, I get a lot of that kind of classic like crowd heel and face vibe from them, and I've sensed it ever since I came here and started wrestling.
We have a punchable face.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely, but not just me, just even other heels, and I've just noticed the whole heel and face dynamic is just different here. They're very attached to the characters, which is the best situation for a wrestling show.
We like a good anti-hero.
100%.
They're saying Triple H was a good heel back in the day. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not going back as far as some of the other names we mentioned, but
right.
Absolutely. Early 2000s, late 90s, Triple H was top tier.
It's 100%. Really interesting too. Like, I saw a quote recently, or I saw Scott D'Amore interviewed recently on a show, and I'm going to butcher all this, but like, he's like, I saw a quote from a classic wrestling icon, and he said, I don't like this new wrestling. It's too clownish, and especially blank. And he's like, who do you think said that? And the interviewer goes, well, that sounds like Jim Cornette for sure. And he's like, no, that was Lou Thez talking about Harley Race. And it's like, what? Like Harley Race was too clownish? Like you think of Harley Race as like, it's talk about a villain. Harley Race. Tough as nails, Harley Race.
Also from that St. Louis area.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. He like ruled that area. Yeah, like it was his territory, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he had a wrestling school there.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
I can't imagine going to his wrestling school. He was pretty tough, dude.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course I look back at the old footage and things like that, but that's a lot of what I'm watching now is some wrestling at the Chase stuff.
Okay.
Like I said,
do you study it? Like you're like, you watch these old villains and you're like, I want to do this. Like I want to say, do you ever like take any stuff and go, I'm going to use that?
It definitely helps me like generate ideas and things like that. But yeah, also just whether I'm just watching it to enjoy the product too.
Right.
Sometimes just to take it easy.
Yeah.
And not have to think too much.
Well, we also like you got to also think about the Dudley Boys ECW. Those guys as villains, man. There was times where people were about to like just spill over into the ring and start killing them.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Bubba Ray Dudley on the microphone.
Oh,
He's an absolute master on the microphone.
It's one of those things where, it's like you have to take it as far as you can take it, but you have to not go too far. Mm-hmm. And how do you know when that is? You know, can you feel it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, especially, you know, you gotta know who your audience is, right? So obviously there's some shows that are probably going to be more adult oriented than others, right? And then maybe that determines how far you can take it from a heel standpoint, but you got to know your audience. It's actually typically a different crowd every time. A lot of the same folks come out, but you got new faces there every time. So it's,
I've got, so I'm going to help you with your villain stuff tomorrow if you want. I have some ideas.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Good deal.
I just thought of some, and we'll talk about it after the show. And I think that, you know, it'll work really well, especially where we're at. So, because a lot of these fans are going to be from Albuquerque driving to Rio Rancho, so we've got to play up Rio Rancho a little bit.
Absolutely, I'm excited about that. And then there should be a whole new fan base there as well, that are maybe closer to the Rio Rancho area. Because from what I've heard, the most pre-sale tickets for a DCCW event yet, obviously because there's more space as well.
Right.
You know, I know that the El Rey Theater sold out many times, but the Rio Rancho Event Center, I think it can seat up to 3,000. You know. Yeah,
it's something like that. It's pretty big.
Yeah,
I've been out there multitudes of times. You know, like Ice Cube seems to love the venue. I'm not sure why. He comes like every year to that venue. It's really weird, but it's going to be exciting. Like, it'll be the first steel cage match we've ever had. Are you a little disappointed you're not in the steel cage? Or does that make you happy?
I'll tell you what. At first, I was a little disappointed about the steel cage match. Who doesn't want to be in the first steel cage match?
Right.
But then when I heard it was Hobo Hank and Thunder, you know, I was excited for that because they have such a history.
Also, how do we know you're not?
You never know. I mean, Matthew Robles is out there, and me and Matthew Robles, as you know, we have a great relationship. So, you know, if he needs an extra hand, maybe he calls me. I've let him know, hey, if you need me out there, just give me the call.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. You heard it on here. It might happen.
You never know.
How do you put together a steel cage match? Like, what are the limitations? What are the things that are different about that? How many have you done?
I've never been in the steel cage match.
Oh, you've never done it?
Nope. So that would be an incredible first.
Then you don't really know. So yeah.
Don't know, but I mean, I would imagine you'd put your strategy together based on whether or not you could win by escaping the cage, or if it's one of those steel cage matches where there's just a steel cage around the ring, but it requires a pinfall or submission.
Oh, okay.
If it's an escape, the traditional steel cage matches, you escape the cage.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I would imagine those are probably the rules tomorrow night. So it'd all be based around that.
Well, and I mean, throughout the history of wrestling, there's been several different types of steel cages. There's the infamous blue cage from WWE, the early days, Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy. Mm-hmm. Then there's like, you know, then they kind of switched over to like a regular. Then in WCW, you would have like the steel cage, but it had a roof on it.
Oh, yeah,
right?
War Games.
Well, then they went to the War Games, and I just remember as a kid being so stoked because you would see like the Road Warriors, they would like, or Dr. or one of those guys would lift somebody up and have them fully pressed, and then just start smashing them into the top of the cage. And as a little kid, like, that really is one of those images that you're just like, wow, like that dude just lifted that other guy and he's ramming him into the top of the cage, you know?
Oh yeah.
In War Games, I mean, that's a Dusty Rhodes like original, and they still do it. It's interesting because like WWE does it, and then AEW has kind of co-opted it. They call it Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
They don't call it War Games, which is fine. And I feel like they're both great. It's one of those things that's now turned into like Royal Rumble, where anytime they do it, everybody's like, how do we one up the last person? Last guys,
big spot or something like that. AEW's has the ceiling on it, and then WWE's does not have the ceiling.
And then of course we got Hell in the Cell, Gabe says. Yeah.
Oh, classic.
And then the Hell in the Cell has escalated. I remember the first Hell in the Cell, which was Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Mm-hmm. And I just remember watching it, and I think the whole pay-per-view itself was like not that great. And in that match, I'm like, first of all, how the fuck could Shawn Michaels beat the Undertaker? Yep. You know, like, he's such a smaller guy. And like the match they put on was phenomenal. How it ended was great, and that was Kane came out, ripped the door off, tombstoned his brother, and then that was it.
One of the best debuts of all
yeah,
time.
And that's the first time you ever saw Kane. And then at that moment, you're like, okay, like Hell in a Cell is pretty dope. Ooh, there's a spider right next to you. Oh. You might want to flip it out.
Oh, shoot, there it goes.
Oh, right up your shorts. No, it didn't. I don't think it did.
Oh, there it is.
Did you get it?
Yeah,
cool.
it did.
Okay. Yep. Anything can happen in the studio, but like
if I'm not there against Turbo Tony tomorrow night, it's because I got bit by the spider.
Oh man. And
or maybe it'll help me tomorrow night. You never get a mutation.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you had like, after that, you're like, I don't know how they could top that Hell in the Cell. And then, Mick Foley and fucking Undertaker just, that one has no, I mean, it's been, dissected so many times. They've watched it themselves, which is kind of crazy. Like when you watch them watch it together, it's kind of nuts.
Oh, those are my favorite when they watch a match back from 20 years ago or so.
Yeah. And that's got to be Kane around. But like then it was really interesting after that. I always felt like the Hell in the Cells after that, they always tried to recreate that, but like as safely as they possibly could. Like I remember the next year, Mankind was in it, and they actually bent the fence so that he had footholds to put his feet in, and I was like, no, that's not cool. I mean, it's not organic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, shoot, when that Undertaker and Mankind Hell in a Cell match happened, that is still to this day one of the craziest matches to have happened in pro wrestling.
You had to be in the back going, if you were coming up later, going, you motherfuckers, fucking guys, what the fuck,
and especially, I mean, you've got a section in the match near the end where Mankind, Mick Foley, it looks like he's got some kind of like snot in his nose.
Oh yeah, it's his tooth.
You find out it's his tooth.
Yeah, I could tell you all about that match. Can I have one of these? Yeah, and it just opens like a refrigerator.
I got to take a minute. How do you pronounce it? Topo Chico?
Yep.
This hard seltzer, Topo Chico, is great.
Isn't it?
I'll tell you what, I'm normally not a hard seltzer person, but this is good stuff.
You know what's crazy about these? Is like, it doesn't seem like it's got alcohol in it, which is also bad. You're like, oh, I'll have another one. How much is in this? You're like, as much as a beer. You're like, oh, fuck, I've had 6.
Oh, yeah.
I'll lay down right now.
For sure.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're very happy to be sponsored by them. That Hell in the Cell match, I can like almost dissect it. Like it's crazy, like because Undertaker had a broken bone in his foot, and so they were trying to like do this match, and work around that.
I never knew that.
Yeah, when he drops down after he throws Mick through the top of the cage, and the chair hits him in the face, and his tooth goes through his lip. The Undertaker, if you rewatch it, he comes down and he lands and he like hops because he landed on that foot that has a broken bone in it.
Jeez.
And you're just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with you people that do this wrestling, Tyler? What the fuck is wrong with y'all?
I'll tell you what, it's an adrenaline rush. One of the most fun matches I've had this year was actually in June of this year. It's the hardcore match, myself and Jalen Monroe, I believe, versus Tommy and Turbo. You were on commentary that one. That's the night where you were leading commentary for the night. Yeah,
that's correct. Oh, that is correct.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, I bet.
That was
I wanted to talk to you about a match that you and Tommy had the street fight.
Yep.
And you guys pulled out the Singapore canes.
Oh yeah.
So I'm in the back with you guys before the show, and spoiler alert if you haven't watched it. And you guys went shopping during the day, I guess. Where did you buy those at?
Tommy brought the Singapore canes.
Where did he
I'm not sure. I think one of his friends had them or somehow. I don't know what the day-to-day use of a Singapore cane is.
Some nerd that like gets knives at a truck stop is like, here, try this. And so like I'm in the back with you guys, and I assume like you guys have wrestled for a while and I pick one up and I'm like, damn, do these hurt? And you guys are both like, we don't know. This is our first time. Do they hurt?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it hurt. It stung, definitely.
Oh, I bet.
The adrenaline's up during, but the marks that I had the next day, I definitely felt that.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Gabe says he brought them from his gym, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think he brought them from Prime. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
They just have them laying around. Yeah, it's one of those things like the trash can that makes a big noise and probably hurts, but not as bad as it sounds like it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
You know? The thing that always blows my mind is the tacks. The tacks to me are when they do that, I'm just like, oh, did you see like at All In, somebody poured out broken glass all over the ring?
That I think, that was Darby and.
Yeah, of course it was Darby. Darby's crazy.
Have we seen tacks yet in DCCW?
No.
Oh.
Well, maybe tomorrow night.
You never know what will happen during that cage match.
Never know. We haven't yet. There's only been like there was the street fight between you and Tommy, and then the hardcore match you and what was his name, Jaden Money Monroe, who will be there tomorrow, and Turbo Tony and Tommy. Then there was like a hardcore. Well, I don't know. It was like a toy match between
Chewy Martinez and Mickey Knuckles.
Yeah. And of all the wrestlers that have come here to wrestle, when I'm out and about, the one that people bring up the most that you got to bring back, it's Mickey Knuckles.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, and I'm like, well, she doesn't live here. Everyone thinks she's like over in the South Valley just chilling, and we just don't bring her in. She's not from here.
I think she's from Kentucky.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Gabe says that tag match was one of the best of all time in DCCW. I agree.
Yeah, that tag match was so much fun.
And then we had the anniversary show, and there was a cake.
Oh yeah.
And you went into the cake, which made me angry because I wanted some cake. And after your sweaty body went into it, I did not want the cake.
I'll tell you what, that was wild. You know what I mean? My face and head were covered in cake. But what was worse, is like it was all over my back, completely ruined the pair of jeans that I had. I had no plan for after that happened, right? So it's not like there's a shower backstage at the El Rey that I was able to use right away.
No. Yeah, there is. Why? Yeah, there's a shower.
Is there?
Yeah.
Down in the locker room?
I think so. Maybe that's Sunshine.
Well, I missed
One of
that,
them does. One of them does.
But
you just do a truck stop shower, just wash off in the sink.
Yeah, right. So no, what my plan was at the time, like I said, there was no plan. So I'm covered in cake. It's all over my back, all over my face, all over my jeans. My girlfriend Ashley, who's here but off camera right now, she meets me backstage, and we get as much cake off as
and then she's like, "Did you ruin your good jeans?"
Yeah,
God,
they were done for.
Dang
they were absolutely
Tyler.
done for.
Those are those good jeans we got for you down at the JCP. That's not how she talks at all.
Thank God she's helping me clean all of it off. Yeah. But I mean, there's only so much you can do when it's covering the entirety of your jeans and everything. So we got as much off as we could, and I went straight from there after that segment. And we went to the hotel we were staying. I can't remember what the name of the hotel was. It was a real nice bougie hotel in downtown Albuquerque.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
And I'm covered in cake. I park, and we're going up the escalator.
Andaluz.
Andaluz?
Yeah. Did it have an outdoor like bar like patio on the second floor?
I don't know. We didn't really explore it too much, but we were on like the 8th or 9th floor or something. I'm covered in cake, so we can only get so much off. So you should have seen the looks that I was getting going up the escalator, just covered in cake. For like, what is wrong with this guy?
And then you look at him, and you're like, what? You don't fucking like to eat?
Right. So yeah, there was no real game plan for after I got put through the cake, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, those jeans are gone.
That sucks. Like they're ruined, huh? You couldn't get it out.
Absolutely ruined, but I'll say this, it was worth it.
Okay.
You know.
Were they acid wash jeans?
Right? Go classic with it.
That'd have been awesome.
Yeah.
You had them all rolled.
Oh,
no, that was a good night though. That was fun. But I didn't I didn't know. So on purpose, a lot of times I don't know what's going to happen because on commentary, it helps if some of the reaction is realistic. But like, I mean, when they wheeled out the cake and they're like, "We're going to bring out the cake," I was like, "Who's going to go through it? Who's going to fly into the cake?" And I saw the cake in the back, and I was like, "Sweet, we get to have cake." And then they wheeled it out.
It was a beautiful cake.
And I was like, "Fuck, we don't get to eat the cake."
Turbo Tony got some. If you watch the video after I lay in it, he dips his fingers in there, gets a little taste.
Nasty motherfucker.
I can tell you it tasted good. You know.
Okay.
All over my face, I'm licking my lips. I got a little bit of it. So me and Turbo,
all right,
we tasted it.
I was like, "There's no cake. You've ruined the cake." No, it's fine. I mean, it had to happen, right?
Yeah, no, it had to. It was amazing.
It had to. And I love that they chose you. They're like, well, who's going to go through the cake? Tyler's going to go through the cake.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much I can reveal for that, but I got the call about that about a day before the show. It's like, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, yep, let's go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about that too. I've only ever said no to one thing, and it's fine. But like for the most part, like yeah, that would be fun. Like that stuff like that is fun, right?
Yeah. just having the 25 second clip of
right.
Turbo Tony right behind me as I've been talking crap to the crowd. I turn around. Oh no, hey, sorry, I didn't mean that. Yeah. I go to hit him, he blocks it, my head into the cake.
Right.
Then through the table with the cake. That's priceless to me. Just that 20 to 25 second clip.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, and then I mean, you've got to show that at parties when everybody's like, "So you wrestle?" And you're like, "Yeah, let me show you." And then you show them that, and they go, "Okay."
Yeah. It confuses a lot of people. I'll say that. It's almost like some people don't really comprehend it. When I send them a video like that, they're like, "Okay, I've seen this, but I don't really know how to react to this."
Right.
Like,
well,
what do you do in your spare time?
Oh yeah. Like I deal with that. Like at work, they're like. And people always and it's like it's a really good deflection for people. Like if someone new comes in, they're like, "This is blah blah blah. This is blah blah. This is Chris.
He does this on the side, right?
These are the things Chris does. Here, tell him, Chris. Tell him what you do." And then I'm like, I commentate wrestling. I'm a judge at a cabaret show, and then of course then I get to entertain that person for like 20 minutes.
No, I 100% relate.
Yeah. And it's interesting, and it's fine. It's whatever. But like, that's got to be a weird thing at parties, though, right? Where people are like, "So you wrestle?" And then do they ever go, "Did you wrestle like in high school?" And
I used to always get that question, and I wish I wrestled in high school,
right.
But I wasn't an athlete in high school. I was definitely what you would call a late bloomer. I was real skinny in high school. I was probably 120 pounds. I just loved to play video games, things like that, and I never really got into the weight room and things like that.
Did you like wrestling though?
School. Oh, I watched wrestling. I loved wrestling. Yeah.
Who was your favorite
100%.
Wrestler growing up?
Sting.
Dang.
Yep, Sting. I was a big WCW guy growing up.
Did you? I'm actually shocked that he came out the other night.
Yeah, at All In.
Yeah. Like, and someone's like, "Well, of course he does." Like, no, of course he did. He retired. They did. Like, to be honest. Like, when I first saw him go to, AEW, I was kind of like, it's cool. Like, I get it. I get why they're doing it. And then his run in AEW, I was pretty proud of it. And everybody's like, well, he has to wrestle tag. I'm like, dude, he jumps off shit through tables. He's jumping off of things. He's not taking it easy. And then when they did his retirement match and his sons came out dressed as him, I thought that was really amazing.
Yeah.
And then like one son was the Great American Bash Sting, and he comes out and he like flexes, and he's got the the flat top, and he's got the American flag. And there were so many memories for me, just like, wow, like holy shit. I wish they wouldn't have done the Ric Flair part of it. Like, and that kind of seemed like that felt like tacked on too much. Flair had just gotten so old. Just too old.
And then you're genuinely worried about him during the match too, so it kind of takes away from
and then I guess like one of his sons loved it, and now he's training, I guess.
He's training with Darby Allin.
Yeah. So. Which I don't know if that's a fucking good idea.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Because he's crazy. Like, people are like, how did they fake that where he flew off the ladder through the glass?
Yeah.
Here's the truth. They didn't. He's insane.
And the moveset and style is going to be different too, because Darby Allin's a smaller guy, so I would imagine. Well, I know from what I see, the majority of what he does and is comfortable with is that high flying kind of risk taking strategy. But Sting's son, that's probably just, I'm not sure what his name is, but he's a pretty bigger guy. He's probably going to have more of like a powerhouse moveset. He's definitely bigger than most of the wrestlers today.
Yeah.
So just different styles.
And one of them at least one of them looked definitely taller than Sting.
Oh yeah, that's the son that's training with Darby.
Is it?
The one who came out as Wolfpack? Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He came back out as the Wolfpack Sting. Mm-hmm. It was kind of interesting. He didn't do any of the teen. Like, I mean, they probably got to choose. I don't know. I mean, they definitely had to do like the classic '80s surfer Sting. And as a kid, I leaned way towards WCW over WWE. Mm-hmm. And I just liked the darker vibe that it had. And I loved Barry Windham. Like, my favorite, first of all, rest in peace. I loved the Skyscrapers with Sid Vicious.
Oh yeah,
loved them. Like when they came out, I was like, "Fuck yeah, these guys are gonna mash people, man. They're gonna fuck them up." Well, then he got, he disappeared, and then we find out later him and Arn got in a fight, and he got stabbed with scissors, and punctured his lung, and had to go. And then they replaced him with Mark Callis, who fizzled out and never did anything. Do you remember that guy?
I think that was right before I started watching. That was that must have been early '90s WCW.
Do you know who Mark Callis was?
No.
He wrestled in WCW for a little while as the other person in the Skyscrapers, or Mean Mark Calloway, or Mean Mark Callis. Then he went to WWE. They put him in a suit with a hat, and he wrestled for like 20-something years after that. I don't know.
That must have been early 90s,
Undertaker,
right?
or something. Yeah, I don't know. Didn't care for him myself. I actually have a story about that, and I've told this story on this show many times. So I liked him. Mean Mark Callis. His move was the heart punch because that's how he was trained.
That's where the heart punch came from.
Well, it didn't, but he was trained by a guy called the Spoiler.
Oh, okay.
Who wrestled in World Class Championship Wrestling, and the Spoiler, his big move that he would do was he would climb up on the turnbuckle while holding the wrestler's hand, and he would tightrope walk the rope, and he taught Undertaker that. Mean Mark Callis. So anyway, I see him. WCW came to Clovis, where I'm from, which is a town of like 40,000 people, so no one goes there.
Yeah, I've been there.
We
did a segment there. Yeah,
and so I go. My grandma buys ringside seats because my grandmother loved wrestling, and I was so stoked to see this. And the Freebirds wrestled the Rock and Roll Express. Mick Foley Cactus Jack wrestled Norman the Lunatic, who later became Bastion Booger. Anyway, Mean Mark Callis wrestles some jobber. The whole time everybody's rooting for the jobber guy, and I'm like, give him the heart punch! Yelling it out. The only one cheering for him. And he does, and he wins the match. After he gets done, I see him and Wildfire Tommy Rich are sitting at the top of the bleachers. So I walk up the bleachers, and I'm like, Mean Mark, can I have your autograph? And he laughs, and he's like, sure, kid, give me about 10 minutes. So I go down to the bottom of the bleachers, and I wait.
He never comes.
No, he did. Him and Tommy Wildfire Rich walk by, open the doors, go get in a car, and drive away.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, fuck that guy for the rest of my life. And when he came out with the Undertaker, everybody's like, did you see the Undertaker guy? I was like, yeah, fuck him. And I've never liked him. I told Kane that story, and he thought that was funny as shit. And he's like, I hope you meet him so you can tell him.
Oh,
he's
that's great.
He'll love it. And it's just one of those things where I get it. The heels are not supposed to give autographs, especially in those days,
back then. Yeah, and he was so true to his characters.
The other thing too, at the time, I didn't think much of it, but oh gosh, what's his name was there? God dang it, he was in WWF or WWE. He would come out with Jack Swagger, and they were kind of like an anti, they were like the anti Dutch Mantel.
Yep.
So Dutch Mantel wrestled someone there, right? So he gets done, and we're over there screaming at him, you suck. And he's walking by, and he turns around, and he's like, you all got AIDS.
That's some classic heel stuff.
Yeah. And I love that. Somebody in the chat, Duke City Warrior, says, what is the inspiration behind all your tattoos?
Oh, great question. So, unfortunately, not a great answer to that. I got most of them when I was very young, from 17 to 22, 23.
Yeah.
So I would say half
in
of
the prime
them,
years of when you should make decisions.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So I would say most of them were kind of made when I was younger, just artwork that I wanted to get tattooed without a ton of meaning behind them. But some do have some meaning.
But it gives it gives you a Randy Orton kind of look, but it's a good look, clean cut white guy with the sleeve tattoos. It's a good look when you get up on the turnbuckle, and you flex
it's different.
out.
Yeah, it stands out for sure.
Agreed.
But I would say yes. I mean, some definitely have some meaning, but I would say it's probably about half and half. You know,
this one's when we drank 40s by the 7-Eleven. This one,
right?
We shoplifted from Walmart.
Yeah, we could definitely spend some time on that. But
yeah, that'd be a whole show. I mean, so what do you look? I mean, you have a match tomorrow with Turbo Tony.
Yep.
You know, and Turbo Tony's he's one of those guys that, you know, real solid guy in behind the scene, really good dude. You know, trains hard, works hard, also good heel.
Yeah.
You know, but also good face. I mean, when you do face runs, do you enjoy it or is it boring?
You know, it's been a while since I did a face run.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy heel runs more, but I've only done a face run in St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
But it worked out really well.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely obviously a different crowd reaction, right? So it's odd hearing the support rather than the hate, you know, but regardless, it's energy one way or another. I feel confident in doing either one.
Oh, wow.
But the preference would be heel.
Do you ever get like where you're such a heel that people love you? They're like, this guy right here is my guy.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's always the best thing because I hear that before or after the show, right? Like they'll be like, "Oh, I hate you, but you know you're awesome."
When
you're
you
doing
spit
great,"
on that kid, I couldn't stop laughing.
So I hear that and I like hearing it, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, I really need to make them legitimately hate me. But then I probably couldn't walk around everyone and go to the food truck or get pizza after, you know.
Yeah,
so
well, you get stabbed. Has anybody ever threatened you after?
No, I've never got threatened. I've got threatened during all the time during.
Sure.
Never after or before.
And I think that's like the good thing about like kayfabe getting broken. Hopefully, is that afterwards people aren't like, you know, fuck you, you need to die, asshole. But like. Back in the day, like Roddy Piper and them would talk, like they would get stabbed or, you know, legitimately get, you know, guns pulled on them. Like you watch The Dark Side of the Ring, you know.
Love that series.
Oh, it's so damn good. They're coming out of the new season. And it's like every year I'm like, what else can they do? And then they pull out and you're like, yeah, that was something else right there. All right.
But,
yeah.
You know, I'm looking forward to the match with Turbo Tony, though. You know, we wrestled in May for the first time.
Yeah.
It was the sponsored match, the 5-minute.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it ended in a draw.
So this is the rematch of that, yeah?
Well, I would say, you know what, I actually consider myself having a win over him because in the tag match, with myself and Jaden, I did pin him to win the match. So I do consider us 1-0-1 with me on top.
Did you take the whey protein in the face or whatever?
I did take the whey protein in the face. My eyes have just recently recovered from that.
I was going to ask, how bad is that? Like when they throw that stuff in your face?
I'll tell you, I was blinded, and then next thing I knew, I'm up on Tony's shoulders, getting put through chairs.
Yeah.
So
were you able to was your muscle memory able to land correctly?
Well, no, I mean that was all him. So it's nothing. That's none of me.
Well, when you land, it is.
Oh yeah, well
I mean, all of you.
if you remember how I landed on those chairs, it was sideways. So I mean, I was.
Ow.
So maybe that has something to do with why I landed that way.
Could be.
You know, I landed half on the chairs, half off the chairs, so it looked absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
But that was one of my favorite moments.
Okay.
But yeah, so tomorrow night we'll find out kind of what happens there. With,
DCCWtickets.com. Get them.
That's right.
There's still some left, but there's not a lot left. I looked at it. I was like, wow, this is going to be a big crowd.
Yeah.
It's going to be the biggest crowd in DCCW history.
Yep.
You know?
Do you think it's going to be the biggest crowd in independent wrestling history in Albuquerque?
No.
No, there's been more.
Back in the day when the Romeros were here.
When are we talking?
Oh, 70s, 80s. I bet they'd get up there.
Well, let's say last 20 years.
Sure. It could be. It could be because back in the day, you know, you didn't have a territory here, so Amarillo would the Funks would come over, you know, and every once in a while the Romeros were big here. Mm-hmm. So I bet they would fill up Tingley, Tingley Arena, and who knows how many, you know. So I don't know. I actually don't know the answer. That's a good question. Yeah. Maybe I'll look that up for the show tomorrow and throw that into the commentary. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
There's some first-timers. Manny Lemons is coming in.
Heard a lot of good things about him.
Manny Lemons is great.
Yeah.
Back in there was a federation here for a while, Destiny Wrestling Organization, DWO, And Manny, I saw him wrestle probably like 5 or 6 times. Mm-hmm. And he's great. He's really good. And then Sin Bodhi, former WWE superstar Sin Bodhi, trained with Jake. I believe Jake Snake Roberts was like one of his trainers. I've seen him wrestle. Also very good. But first time in DCCW. And I can't think of the guy he's wrestling, but maybe
almost 7 feet tall. Just came out of the WWE.
Yeah.
Babadook, I believe.
Is that right?
I think I'm mispronouncing the name. That may not be the name.
No, that's what they said. Something like that. Maybe Gabe can help us.
Yep.
But yeah, I've not seen this person wrestle, so I'm not sure. So.
Oh, he is nearly 7 feet tall. He's an absolute monster.
Came from WWE, huh?
Yeah. Came from WWE. Yep.
Interesting, man. Duke City Warrior says, I'll be catching it on YouTube. Well, still time to drive up from Santa Rosa. It's not that far.
Yeah, how far is Santa Rosa?
It's from here?
Yeah.
Like an hour and 20?
Let's go. Load up the car. Come on out tomorrow. It's going to be a good time.
Pack up the babies and grab the old ladies. That's what Neil Diamond would tell you.
Absolutely.
As everyone knows. Yeah. It's going to be a big show. So you wanted to talk about some other things, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I wanted to check in with you and see how things were going, because I'll tell you what, I've noticed in you over the last year since I met you. Because, we met last August.
Right.
That's the first Duke City Championship Wrestling show. Mm-hmm. I think that was actually the night. Was that the night where your role at the time was on the line?
Yeah.
In last August, so a year ago.
Something like that, yeah. It was right around there. Yeah.
That's the first time I met you. So
interesting.
I've just noticed since then and now, just like you've been on this kind of like health journey.
Sure.
Right? And I've seen just from then and now some just massive, changes in you lost weight, getting in shape, things like that.
Sure,
so I just want to hear how things are going. I'm into that stuff. I used to be a personal trainer.
Yeah, Tyler came up and he goes, you're a real fat tub of lard, aren't you?
I did. I came up and I just insulted him, and that's what caused him to make this change.
And I was like, I guess I am. No, let's see. Duke City Warrior says, I like to torture Chris by making him wait. Okay. No.
So bullying works is what we're trying to say.
This is this is a story that I feel like it's really interesting because, as men, we struggle with a lot of, especially like the generation above ours, and it's bled over into ours. I mean, how old are you? Like you're in your
33.
33. Okay. Yeah. Well, then the generation above mine that has bled into mine, maybe down a little into yours, but maybe not as bad, is, you have this like thing where men are men, and we're tough, and we don't go to the doctor unless we're dead or dying. It's like that's the quote from Days of Thunder. He's like, I don't go to the doctor unless I'm dead or dying. And it's really a bad thing. It's not good to do. And recently there's a guy who's a YouTuber. And he was on a show called Tex-Mex Motors. Rabbit. I'm trying to think of what his last name was. But really cool. Like if you ever go on YouTube, God, what was his last name? I got to pull this up because I want to get it right. Because this is important. Rob Pitts. Rob Pitts. So if you watch a show on Netflix called Tex-Mex Motors, great show. If you like car shows, one of the better ones where they go down and like him, Rob Pitts, he's a car salesman, and him and this guy from Juarez go down into Juarez and find, Juarez has like tons of like old cars, especially Volkswagens, but they'll go down there and find these like junked up cars and buy them for like $1,000, bring them back over into El Paso. And they have like this crack team of like car builders, and they they refurbish the car, sell it. And they're like, in 3 months, we're going to make $300,000. Mm-hmm. And they did season 1, and then, they did season 2. Well, midway through, 3/4 of the way through season 2, and if you ever go on a YouTube and you like car stories and car stuff, Rob Pitts, VinWiki, great stuff. The guy has some of the greatest stories, one of the greatest, and I'm a storyteller, and he's one of the greatest storytellers I've ever seen in my life. And 3/4 of the way through season 2, he started losing weight, started getting acid reflux really bad, would go to the urgent care, and they would treat the symptoms and finally one of the producers was like, there's something going on. And they took him to a doctor, and the doctor found out he had stomach cancer.
Oh, shit.
And he made it through the filming, and then he died like last week.
Oh, wow.
And they're in post-production, so the season 2 ain't even coming out. And I had no idea any of that was happening, and like it blew my mind that like it happened that quick. And he did a video because he knew it was coming, and he did a video, and I posted it on my Facebook, and it's pretty amazing, like the things he said, and he said like one of the things he said, and I'm paraphrasing, is like, go to the doctor, ask lots of questions,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, and basically like, men, go to the doctor, ask lots, because he didn't go to the doctor. Well, like I had an ex that was like, you can go to see a doctor because you haven't seen a doctor in like 20-something years.
Good advice.
Yeah, so I did, and all the things I thought were going to be wrong with me were fine. Like they're like, your liver and your kidneys are good, and I was like, can you say that again? What? Are you serious? And they're like, but your A1C is through the roof, and you're going to be diabetic, or you're pretty close to it. And then like one of my cholesterols was high, right? So they were like, we're going to put you on Manjaro, which is Ozempic or whatever the fuck you want to call it, the weight loss, not to lose weight, to regulate my blood sugar. I want to reiterate or point that out. I didn't go. They didn't put me on it to make me lose weight. They put me on it for what the drug is for, to regulate my blood sugar. And I've been on that since last October. And here's in the results, I've lost 50 pounds. And people come up and they say, you look great, all this stuff, and then I tell them why, and they go, oh wow, that's the miracle drug. Here's what I want to talk about. I don't like that, because when people think it's like a miracle drug, that all you have to do is take a shot once a week and then you just lose weight. That's not the truth. That's not a true thing.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to change what you're doing on a daily basis. You have to eat right. So I eat vegetables and I eat fruit, which I wasn't doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've cut out white bread for the most part. It's very difficult to do that because every once in a while you want some pizza,
Yeah.
I eat lots of
know that
protein
feeling tomorrow night.
but I know, like, I can tell you on any given day every single thing I've eaten. I know.
And you probably protein focused as well.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I make sure, and if I don't, I know. Like I'm like, ooh, I didn't eat enough protein today. I'm hurting. And you have to make that change. If you just take the shot and then just fucking throw trash down your mouth, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and if I can expand on that real quick. So one huge benefit of it, I think, and I haven't taken it myself, so you're speaking from experience, but from what I've heard, is and it requires discipline, just like you said.
It does.
Because yes, it's something that, someone takes, and you're going to have less of an appetite. But at the same time, you still have the opportunity when you do eat to eat the junk food, things like that.
Right.
So you're eating less.
Yes.
So you have to be disciplined in making sure that what you are eating includes that vitamins and minerals, the fruits, the vegetables, and protein, or else you're going to have muscle loss as well.
Correct. And
so it takes discipline.
And it takes discipline because, like, you're eating less because you're it's like you said, like, there are less times in the day that you eat. So if you if you choose to put in that space gummy bears instead of like some sort of meat, then you will feel it. Like, you will feel like shit later in the day. You absolutely will. And it's very crazy, like, how once you start getting to that level, like, you start to, like, getting more in tune with, like, what makes you tired, what makes you have energy. It's kind of crazy. Like, I'm sure you know. But, like, it's if you put, like, if I go, you know what, I haven't had pizza in a while, and I have it, I pay for it. Like, it's definitely, but that's okay. Like, but then I go, okay, cool. And then I'm going to go back on the fruit, go on the vegetables. And, I do like meal, I have meals delivered from, like, Blue Apron, and they're, like, tailored to what I need.
Oh, good.
And so I'll, and then I can just like boom, boom. So things like that have made it like easier than it should be, because then I don't have to cook it. It's just there, bang, bang. I eat some vegetables with chicken or with pork or whatever, and it like I totally said don't put bread, no bread, And I'll eat bread, but I'll eat like whole grain bread, because that's literally what they tell me. The doctor like they were like, they didn't go cut out like candy.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure it's like a given. I mean, but literally the doctor says to me, stop eating white bread. That was the number one thing he says. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I cannot stress enough to not eat white bread. And I was like, wow, all right.
Do you feel like you have more energy with the diet, with the changed diet, like focusing more on the fruits and vegetables, less of the white bread?
If I get it right, if I get everything correct, yes. The thing that kicks my ass is when I take the drug. The next day kicks the shit out of me. Like, so I have it timed whenever I'm off work that it hits me. But like, I get used to it because like they up the dosage every so often. So when you think like, oh, if you take this drug, it's a miracle drug, nothing. There's no like work to lose weight. There's a lot of work to, it's going to be a process. There's times I've called sick into work, because it knocks the shit out of you. And when I went to the doctor, they were like, what are the side effects you've had? And I'm like, well, I get diarrhea a lot. And like it wipes me out like once a week. And they're like, is it bad enough you would not do it? And I said, nope, give it to me.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. And what is, someone says, I've been drinking coconut water a lot more recently. Okay. It's weird. Like, you can substitute things for other things. Like I drink coffee and I used to put cream and sugar in it. Now I get a coconut creamer that's, because it's coconut.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of sweet to it. So it's great.
Way less sugar or no sugar. Yeah.
Or none. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, cool. And the thing that blew my mind was like not eating candy and not eating sweets and not eating sugar. When you eat fruit pops. You're like, holy shit, that is great.
Oh yeah,
apples are amazing.
When you eliminate those artificial sugars,
yes,
things change. And I'm not speaking from much experience. I have very low discipline when it comes to that. So now I'm having to. That's my fight. Is getting rid of the candy, getting rid of the sugar, things like that. But at times when I have, it's a crazy how the energy changes.
Yeah,
and you're able to the mental clarity.
I'm also no longer mainlining PCP or doing heroin. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that helps too. You know what I mean?
So just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Can I have one more of these? If there's any left in there, please. But like, and then like I drink way less than I did. I know that I'm having like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you ask for another.
One more of those. If
oh
there's,
my gosh.
If there's not, nope. Actually, let me have that. What you just had in your hand. That's not alcohol.
I'll be honest, though, I've been chugging this. Do we have a bathroom break on the books during this? Or
do you want to do 2 hours, or you just want to? How long do you want to go?
I mean, we can keep going a little bit longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to take a break?
2 minutes. Yep.
All right.
Or however long.
We'll take a 10-minute break.
Okay.
Let me finish up a little. We'll finish up talking about this. So then I switched jobs where my job is less at the desk and more walking and stairs. I take the stairs, And when it's really crazy. Like when I first started, the first couple times I went out with my coworker to shadow them, I came back to the desk and I was like, "Fuck, I am winded." And since then, I've seen my energy just go up and up and up and up.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Go to the doctor. I mean, the only thing that sucked is because I lost the weight so fast is my gallbladder got removed.
Yeah, and I want to, and that's a whole other story, right?
Yeah.
Going through that a few months ago. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, definitely want to dive in. I mean, I had some similar experiences a few years ago when I first moved to Texas. I got blood work checked for the first time because, I mean, shoot, when I got that done, I was 30. So
yeah,
I'm thinking I'm young. I don't, there's,
right,
I feel for the most part pretty good. But I mean, I might as well get everything checked out. And
sure.
I saw some areas that were lacking, like very common areas that are lacking, like vitamin D. A lot of people are deficient in vitamin D.
Dude, we live in New Mexico. Mm-hmm. There's like 300 days of sunshine. And they're like, yeah, your vitamin D is low. And then I've said, whoa. And they're like, don't worry. Everyone who comes in here, their vitamin D low. So I get vitamin D prescribed to me.
Yeah.
It's one pill a week.
Yep.
It's crazy. And I'm like, that's some concentrated shit.
Yeah.
I'll probably take that here in a little while.
It's effective. Yeah. No, it makes a huge difference when it gets into your system.
Oh yeah.
People are also deficient in magnesium is another big one.
That's
which is great before bed.
Now what I take.
Yeah.
Because like I was getting really tired after my gallbladder surgery, and it's funny when stuff happens to you, how many people kind of like come out of the woodwork, and in being a person, not only like public figure, but like a person who has no shame or embarrassment to talk about things. When you talk about stuff like that out loud, you'll get these people that'll come up on the side and they're like, hey, that also happened to me. Mm-hmm. And it's really funny. Like a guy at work was like, I also had my gallbladder removed. And I was like, oh, right on. And he's like, how are you dealing with it? I'm like, well, I just get really tired. And he's like, magnesium. So I ordered some and I started taking it. I was like, and it was a game changer. Big time. Yeah. Love it.
Most definitely.
Big fan. So now I have my rituals where I take a handful of pills in the morning and some before I go to bed.
Yeah, the magnesium right before bed, vitamin D first thing in the morning.
Yep.
But yeah, what does our time look like right now?
Well, let's take a break.
We got time wise. Okay.
Oh, we got plenty of time, but like let's take a break. We're gonna come back here and then we can go as long as you want after that. Like, let me pull up some music here for the break time. Yeah, that's the problem when I sit with people that I enjoy. We just go.
Time flies. Yeah.
It sure does. So we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back.
I look like I have a 3rd-degree sunburn in that video.
It's the light. Yeah.
Yeah.
With that, we are 10 drink minimum.
deceiving you again. And I know the floor creaks even when there's no one around. Whoa, under control. Did the feeling keep you down? Would you wait another day to hit the ground? Ever explore again? It will be the season of angry trial. Pull the curtain, shine a spotlight on the forehead. You absorb the sweat. Tire the voices to the stigma you created, unabated in your head. And I know the floor creaks even when there's no one around. And I know the floor creaks even when there's no one under control. Did the feeling keep you down? Did you wait another day to hit the ground? Never explore again. It will be the season of angry trial. Under control. Did the feeling keep you down? Did you wait another day to hit the ground? If I ever explore again,
I sold my soul to the bottle. Still none of my friends have left me yet. I'm the same man I was since the age of 13, and I've lived my life with no regrets. If you're looking for some freedom, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum. If you're looking for rhyme or reason, all it takes is 10 drinks.
Okay, we're back from the break. 10 Drink Minimum. My name is Chris. This show is sponsored by the Topo Chico Seltzer, which the infamous Tyler Copeland is drinking.
Highly recommended.
Yeah. So I have a book into the medical thing. It's really interesting. And I didn't even really think about this until recently. Because of my weight loss, though, I've caused a couple of men to go to the doctor. Because one of my coworkers was telling his wife that how much weight I had lost, and she goes, "Well, you need to go to the doctor." And he comes back to work. He goes, "Now I have to go to the doctor because of you." And I was like, "What did I do?" And he goes, "I told my wife you lost all this weight, and she said I need to go to the doctor." And he went, and then they're not going to put him on Ozempic, but they were like, "You do need to lose weight." So now he's on a diet.
Yeah. So he's on the journey one way or another.
Yeah, and then my one of the little co-hosts, Billy Belmont, also went to the doctor, and so he's actually going to be on some stuff and help him out. And so there's some bookends to that. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, go to the doctor. Like, fuck it,
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And I just kind of touched the surface with the vitamin D stuff. But, I realized a lot of things. Like, from going to the doctor, I've had thick blood as well. So
you have
like
thick blood?
Had thick blood, high hemoglobin.
Okay.
So
you
I had
thick-blooded
to
son
start
of a
donating.
bitch.
Had to start donating to kind of lose some of that.
Is that what happened? Like, is that how where they're like, you need to thin it out? You have too much.
100%. So it just goes way back from being on testosterone replacement therapy. Anyone who is, your blood's going to be thick.
Got it.
So you're going to build up a high hemoglobin.
You got like
high
concrete
red
blood
cell count, and because if you don't, it just gets sludgy, it gets thick. So you got to donate blood. So I was finding that out.
Which is also good to do anyway.
100%. Yeah. High liver enzymes, things like that. And they were asking me, how much alcohol do you drink? I was like, well, I barely drink, maybe like 1 or 2 drinks a week. But just some supplementation and things like that.
They're all lushy poo.
Right.
Glug, glug, glug.
So, yeah, I mean, in blood pressure, things like that, just getting a checkup, you find out a lot about what's going on.
Well, and it's funny, though, because I'll go and they'll be like, your blood pressure's a little high. And I'm like, well, I don't like being here. And they're like, yeah, that's about where it is. Mm-hmm. It's you have anxiety about something. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
This.
And especially if it's getting taken right when you sit down, that's like the worst time to take it.
Sure.
You got to sit there for like 5 minutes and relax. And then you're still nervous because you're at the doctor. But,
and it's gotten to where I'm fine now. Like, it was funny because, like, going to the doctor and getting the blood taken, drawn. Then when I had my gallbladder removed, I'm at the hospital and they're all, and I'd been doing the shots for Manjaro. They're like, do you hate needles? Because they were going to put the IV in my arm. I'm like, no, I really don't have the luxury of hating them now. So I had no issue. Like, it was funny too because they were trying to put the IV in my left arm, and I was like, and she's like, I'm having trouble. I was like, the right one is easier.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, and it went right in. She goes, should have said something earlier. I was like, sorry, my bad. But it's it's one of those things where maybe you want to be a wrestler, maybe you want to live longer than 50. It's really sad because like now I'm getting to that age where I'm like 49. And, like, my heroes are dying. Like, Sid Vicious died,
Crazy, yeah.
Or Sid Justice or Psycho Sid, whatever you want to call him. Rob Pitts, Rabbit.
It's more and more every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, like, a lot of it, too, is, like, just getting there. And like, if you would have found out earlier, who knows, It's one of those things. It's like, oh, geez.
Absolutely.
If something's out of the ordinary that doesn't happen to you, go to the doctor and check
Sometimes
it out.
you don't know. Sometimes, don't wait for symptoms.
Nope.
I would absolutely just be getting, regular checkups just in case.
Yeah. It's totally. And, someone we know that, we see on a regular basis. I was talking to him the other day. I don't want to say who because, and he's like, yeah, I went to the doctor. He's like, and now I'm diabetic. And I was like, oh, dang.
Oh, shoot.
Sucks. But, now they're on a diet. And, these are all things you can live with, but if you don't know that you have it, then, you don't wait. I know someone who, like, waited. They didn't know. Got a cut on their foot. Didn't know they had the cut. Got infected. And you can guess what happened the rest.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, go to the doctor, man.
Go to the doctor. And
ask questions.
And at the same time, if you're in that situation where, the goal is to lose weight and things like that, if that's what you're directed to do, like, shoot, you can speak from experience. I'm sure you've seen dramatic changes from all numbers, all health-related numbers. Yep. Just from dropping the weight. What did you say, 40 plus?
50.
50 pounds? Yeah. 50 plus pounds.
Yeah, I was 260, and now I'm 210. Mm-hmm. And, which is great because, like, someone literally told me, like, I was like, well, what if I get down to 2, because, like, supposedly if you go by the BMI, all that shit, it tells me I'm supposed to be, like, 185. I think that would be, like, another, like, 25 pounds.
Because how tall are you?
6'2".
Man.
Yeah.
I can't picture you down at 185.
That seems like really too much, but I was like, what if I get down by 200 and someone's like, you'll never do that. And I'm like, now I'm like 10 pounds from it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, you told me I couldn't. Here I am.
That's what I would set the goal at.
The biggest problem, the biggest thing is buying clothes, because I've had to rebuy clothes because like I look weird in the clothes I had, and like I hadn't thought about jackets, and then the other day I saw my jackets hanging, and I was like, shit, and I put them on, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah, that's not going to work now.
Nope.
Yeah, going into fall, going into winter.
No.
You have to change the entire wardrobe.
Well, and it's really weird because like I grew up as like a 20-year-old t-shirt, jeans, slobby Don guy, and now I'm like growing into this like fashionable old man. So I'm all about the fashion, which is fine because I can now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's great. It makes you feel good. Like you go to a store and you can wear. Like I didn't realize shirts fit. Like I'm like, well, I'll just throw the 2XL on, and the 2XL like just bellows out on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, I've had to adjust to putting a shirt on, and it like
now it like fits around your arms,
fits around my arms and in my torso.
Yeah.
And at first, it was like a little claustrophobic because I don't have clothes like that,
Yeah.
And like I've gotten down to like where I'm wearing large shirts, which
that's awesome.
I'm like, what the fuck? I'm from 2XL to like large.
Yeah, congratulations on all that, dude. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And definitely been noticeable. I'm sure you hear anyone that you haven't seen in months or so. I'm sure you hear that constantly.
Yeah. Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
And I always do the same thing to them. I go, yeah, you can't call me fat lard behind my back anymore. And they go, I would never do that. And it's funny. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. Because it's a weird thing for people to bring up. Mm-hmm. It's an awkwardly weird thing. Like, they're like, you look great. And like, did I not look great before? I mean, Duke City Warrior says, I'm all about fashion too. Once you find the right outfit, you feel good. Exactly. Like, it's weird. Like, I'll do this thing where, like, I'll wear something that looks amazing, and it's not comfortable, but it looks fucking amazing, and I'm doing it because it's, you're going out to, like, perform. Like, you're going to be in the ring, or you're going to, be in front of an audience. So sometimes you wear an outfit, and it hurts, but you do it anyway. And I can't complain any because I do this cabaret show once a month, which is the other big thing I do. Sells out every time. And a drag queen runs it. And a drag queen starts the show out looking one way, does a costume change in the middle of it, and then does a whole nother number.
Yeah.
And you can never complain about what you're wearing if you've seen what drag queens go through to go in front of an audience. Holy shit. Insane. Like,
yeah, and that's a performance, man.
Oh my God. And then like one of the shows, and it's not all like drag queens performing. It's like people singing, people doing magic, people doing comedy.
Yeah.
But they'll have a couple drag queens like every once in a while. And this one drag queen gets out there and they get out there in those shoes. And I'm talking like these platform shoes, and it just scares the shit out of me to watch them.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Because I'm like, please don't shatter your ankle in front of me.
Yeah,
I would throw up. I would throw up. And like this drag queen gets up there and does a jump and lands in the splits. And I'm just like, oh my God, ow.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That would be
and I'm just like
brutal.
And we get back there.
It's so impressive to see.
And after the show, I'm like, that was so impressive. And they were like, yeah, that was their first performance. I was like, that was the first time you've ever performed and you jumped in the air and landed in the fucking splits?
Wow.
Bravo. If I'd have known that, I would have given you 2 A's instead of the 1 A. But so tomorrow night, man, Duke City Championship Wrestling, Tyler Copeland versus Turbo Tony, not in the cage. But we have Hobo Hank versus Thunder for the title or for Hobo Hank's career. So this could be the last time people see Hobo Hank in Duke City Championship Wrestling.
It's exciting. Yeah, I mean, just to talk a little bit about tomorrow night, and as we kind of close here.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for the match with Turbo Tony. Obviously, we've got a few months of history going back and forth now. Tomorrow, I would imagine, is going to be the ending of that. So it's going to be an epic clash. I can absolutely guarantee that. But Hobo Hank and Thunder, I mean, the years of history that these two have.
Oh yeah,
coming to a head finally. I don't know if these two have ever had a steel cage match before.
No,
if they have,
not that I'm aware.
They have. Okay, so and even if they have, I know it hasn't been at this level. It hasn't been in an arena like the Rio Rancho Event Center. And going to be an incredible main event. I know I'll be watching it through the curtain. so much on the line there. I think Hobo Hank's career, at least in Duke City Championship Wrestling, is also on the line in this match. So not only if Hobo Hank doesn't win, does he not win the championship, but if he loses, he can never wrestle for Duke City Championship Wrestling again.
No, that's the stipulation.
So much is on the line here. It's going to be an incredible show. I'm looking forward to it. Again, just got to put over the product as a whole. I anticipated to come to Albuquerque for one Duke City Championship Wrestling show.
That's great.
Last August. But the product, the energy, the people in the crowd have kept me coming back, and this is kind of the boiling point, the fruition of all of that, this large show that we're going to be part of this Sunday. I've got to thank people like yourself, Chris, others within the company. Also, Fred for bringing me here initially. It's been a great experience, and looking forward to tomorrow night. It's going to be a can't-miss show.
I was trying to see if I can pull up the card because I wanted to get it all out there.
Yeah, let's take a look.
I was trying to see because I know that Tommy Test is going to wrestle the oh, God, what is his name? I'm trying to look up. I'm trying to do two things at once. Mexplex. You have Sin Bodhi versus the guy who is like 7 foot tall. Is that right?
Yep.
Here
we go.
Maybe
if you keep scrolling down, you'll see it.
Yeah, it's got to be here.
Is that
somewhere.
DCCW's page?
Yeah. I was hoping it'd be on the website, but and I got to bring this up too. Last time I got there for the production meeting, and there were some people out there already tailgating.
Yeah.
You ever see that before?
I've seen it only at Duke City Championship Wrestling.
Really? Okay.
Hours before, yeah.
We have Jaden Money Monroe versus Manny Lemons.
The debut of Manny Lemons.
Yeah.
A lot of...
yeah.
That's a great clip right there as well.
Oh, for sure. I'm kind of seeing a little bit of it here and there. Class and Devin Reno versus Sky High. Sky High is making their debut as well. They're
incredible. And Class and Reno are two to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
They are... And they're like way younger than I thought they were too. I think they're both in their mid-20s.
Those guys are going somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I say about those two guys? Like first of all, they're great heels. Mm-hmm. Much in the same vein as you are. And I feel like, and you can agree or disagree with me on this, people should watch how they wrestle. Their wrestling is fucking crisp and tight.
Yeah.
When I say that, and I mean I get there's different kinds of wrestling, but for what their gimmick is, their moves match their gimmick. When they do an elbow, they'll do like one of them. I think it's Class. Devin Reno. He does a jumping elbow that is beautiful, and then Class will do they'll do the what do you call it where you you get the other wrestler in a rest hold where their arms behind their back, and then you do the handstand and then come down and knee them in the back.
Yeah, just a simple.
Yeah, but the way they do that is literally textbook.
And the interaction with the crowd during
the crowd is incredible. Mm-hmm. But their moves, you can almost say, they almost look like a create a wrestler in a video game. Mm-hmm. Their moves are so crisp and consistent that you could record them and be like, well, that is what a jumping elbow looks like. That is the gold standard of what they look like. So when you watch those guys wrestle tomorrow, check that out. It's kind of nuts, and I've told them both on separate occasions, Jesus. Your moves are so and to see people that are that talented that can nail the moves like that is very tough. Sale is wrestling. Oh God, who is Sale wrestling tomorrow?
Valak Vile.
Yeah. Is that right? That's correct. You are.
So,
you have it. There's Plex with Sizzle, Tommy Test. Yeah, Valak Vile, Baba Thunder, and Sin Bodhi. Calderon and Riviera versus La Migra. Is that right?
Yep. I think it's is it. Calderon and Riviera's first appearance at DCCW. I think Riviera may have been.
No, Calderon. I thought Calderon has been there.
Or have they both? Okay.
Yeah,
I was not in.
Yeah. No, he has El Chingon because I was like, he said I want to be called Chingon, and Riviera I think has also been there, and then I think that's it. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay, cool. I'm very upset they did a drone shot and they didn't ask me to do it for them because I have a drone.
Was that drone shot specifically done for this show?
I don't know. Probably not. They probably stole it from them. But I'm like, I could have done that drone shot. I'll do drone shots for us. Let's see. Duke City Warrior says Hobo will win, then Tyler will be the next in line.
Okay,
Yeah?
I can get behind that.
Yeah, you want
After
the title?
I beat Tony.
You want the title?
I'll tell you what, I don't want to see my good friend Thunder lose, but
Yeah.
if it
After you put Turbo Tony in the hospital?
yeah, I mean, look, he's not going to be in great shape after tomorrow. Turbo Tony. You see him. He talks about health and fitness on his podcast each week, and he does his own. I don't know if it's a podcast.
Oh,
but he
of
does
course
his
he
own
has
show,
a
right?
podcast because
Yeah, 100%,
everyone
right?
has one
So,
now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll say this. I would imagine that show's not going to be going on for a few weeks. He's going to be hurt after tomorrow night.
He's gonna be laid up.
100%. Yeah, and so unless the hospital has great Wi-Fi, great connection, and he's able to speak, so if all those three things are right,
Yeah.
then he'll continue it.
In a perfect world.
In a perfect world. So he is going to be hurt tomorrow night. I hope Thunder retains. I'm good friends with Thunder.
Yeah.
I'm great friends with Matthew Robles. But if something happens and Hobo Hank wins, I'd be more than happy to challenge him. But
Yeah.
Thunder's going to win that one.
What a good time to attack when he's just gone through a steel cage match if he wins, right? Just saying.
Yeah, that's absolutely. You never know.
We got to get one of those briefcases that you trade.
The Money in the Bank. Yeah. Yep.
What a weird item! Like when you go to I went to WrestleMania. People were carrying this around, and I was like, what a weird thing for people to like want to own. But
And carry around.
yeah, all right. But how exciting! I'm excited to see everyone, and it's funny because people are like, if I'm there, can I hear you? And I'm like, no, I'm doing commentary, and then someone goes, oh, will you actually be there? And I'm like, yes. They're like, oh, you don't just do it later? I'm like, no, we're literally there, like, in person. So
And I'm like in awe when I sit at when I see the commentary booth as well.
yeah,
He's got like 4 different camera angles going. It's like
right.
It looks just like the WWE setup.
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like on the same level.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So
It's pretty
big props
great.
to you. Big props to Fred for all setting
Yeah.
that up and doing that every time.
Oh, and then ProView, man, those guys rule. They kick ass.
Bring me in commentary during the after my match with Tony at some point tomorrow. I just send
Okay.
in after.
I'm sure Fred will be totally cool with
Yeah.
that. So I'll talk to Fred before the show and we'll set that up. So
For sure.
and then before you leave today, we'll talk. I'll tell you what I think you should say
Yeah, sounds good.
to light those motherfuckers up.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for
Thank
getting
you.
me drinks from the peanut gallery. Oh wow, I just saw your tattoo on your ankle. Are you a gearhead? Do you race?
No,
That's a stick shift, right? That's a manual transmission.
it's for a friend.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Brody's ready for the show to
She
be
is,
to
yeah.
be done. She's had enough. She's
I
had
just
enough.
looked at Brody and she just
She said, "Fuck this."
yeah.
All right. Well, tomorrow, get out to the Rio Rancho Event Center, Duke City Championship Wrestling, locked in. Brody, the infamous Tyler Copeland will be there. Thank you for being on the show, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Chris.
With that,
And I will see y'all tomorrow night.
Yeah. With that, we are 10 drink minimum.